Yo, what's up you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a video on the most frequently asked questions that I get as a body painter on Twitch. So I've been thinking about doing this video for quite a while, since I've been body painting on Twitch for a few years now. There are questions that I get every single time that I do a body paint. So I figured it was high time to make a video and go into the gruesome detail of everything and anything that you guys ask me when I'm painting live on Twitch, so that you guys always have this video as a point of reference in future if there's anything that you want to know about starting to body paint on Twitch and how I do it. So, question number one is, how do you cover yourself? This is probably the single most frequently asked question that I've ever gotten when I do full chest body paints. So to begin, I think that there are potentially numerous ways to go about this. I just prefer the method that I've done. It's what I've always done, and I feel like I've kind of finessed it to working perfectly for me to make sure that there is a completely flush coverage over my chest. Typically, what I would use are pasties. For those of you who don't know what pasties are, this. You can get them in all different colors and shapes. I tend to use the circular kind. These are generally used for people who don't want the outline of a nipple when wearing clothes, and don't want to wear a bra. So that's typically what they're used for. However, just on their own, they don't provide enough coverage, and they're also not very easy to paint on. So what I do is I make sure that I apply two pasties flush to the skin with no crinkles, no wrinkles, and no puckering. And then I cover them in Mehron liquid latex. I like to use this particular liquid latex because I found that it is more thicker than other kind of balloon latexes that you can get, which tend to have a bit more of a runnier consistency. Mehron do a really thick, it's obviously quite a small bottle, but it's quite a thick product, and a little bit goes a long way. I find that one layer of this is like the equivalent to maybe 3 layers of like big balloon latex that you can get. So I like Mehron liquid latex, and I cover all of the seams of the pasties to begin with, and then I cover the center of the pasty. Generally, I go to this whole area, and I find that that gives me a really good coverage. The addition of the latex means that the pasty is never going to peel. It's not going to have any seams. For the most part, it's going to be pretty flush to the skin, as if your nipple was never there. I also like to use a baby powder on top of it, because liquid latex has it's rubber, right? So it has a kind of different texture to your skin, and just so that I don't accidentally push it off or pick it off or whatever with a paintbrush or whatever, I like to use baby powder to set the latex in place. And that means it's really smooth to the touch, it isn't gonna move, and it's also really easy to paint on top of. It basically acts as a second skin. So no, you'll never see my nipple, and no, it's never gonna come off. I literally have to peel it off after every paint. So there is a completely good coverage over the nipple. Hope that was concise and detailed enough for you guys. There will never ever be any nip slips. Question number 2 is, which products do I recommend to a beginner who is just getting into body painting? So as I've said on my stream on multiple occasions, I pretty much stay loyal to one brand of body paint, though I have tried multiple others. I know that some people have different opinions, but for me personally, the only brand that I really ever reach for is Mehron. So Mehron are specialists in kind of cinema and special effects and body art makeup. So it's really kind of a special type of makeup that is safe for the body to paint on. Basically, face paints. The same kind of face paints that you would get at a circus when somebody is painting a child's face. However, I would say that Mehron is probably a step up in terms of quality. Sometimes it can be on the higher end of the price scale, but if you're just starting, I think it's really a perfect starter kit. So I think one of these retails at like $100. I'd need to double check that, but if I can open it. There. Okay. They look like this. One of them is missing. That's my white because I needed to take it out. I needed it. But yeah, they kind of look like this. You can get a whole like kind of starter kit like this. You can also get a smaller kit, which is kind of like yay big and has the primary colors plus black and white for about $25, and that's a smaller one if you want to just start off. But you are basically looking to get the AQ or aqua paints, a water-based or a glycerin-based paint that's activated via water. These are, in my opinion, the best product to be using for painting on your body. I know that some people use other products, and also some people use airbrushes, in which case you can't use these. You need airbrush makeup for that. But these are my favorite. There's a bunch of different brands that you could try. On the cheaper end, you could get Snazaroo, and on the higher end, you can get Mehron and Graftobian. And then there's some in the middle, which are maybe like Fab and Wolf and many others. But they're essentially all the same thing. They're little rounds that have pigment in that you activate via water. Some of them have kind of different consistencies and different properties. Some of them are more opaque, some of them are more prone to cracking. You just have to experiment and find whatever's best for you. But typically this type of makeup is what you are looking for. You cannot paint yourself with acrylic paint or watercolor paints or paints intended for canvas, etc., or wall paint, as some people seem to think in Twitch chat. You need specific makeup that can go on your body, that is safe for your skin, and Mehron, in my opinion, are the market leaders at that type of product. Okay, so we are on question number 3, and that is, which hardware do I need to start body painting on Twitch? Now, obviously, those of you who watch my stream know that I am partnered with the amazing guys at Elgato, and I think that their products are honestly second to none. They are imperative for my own personal body paint setup, so I'm going to go over them and let you know exactly how they benefit me. So to begin with, I think the most important thing as a body painter on Twitch is to have a high quality camera. Webcams are just not going to live up to the same quality ever as a DSLR or a camcorder is. If we are going to compare YouTubers who do body art and makeup, they are obviously using professional equipment, and on Twitch it should be no different. You are creating content that is it's imperative to have a detailed video feed, and so I think that the first product that is absolutely necessary is the Camlink. The Camlink allows you to connect a camera, a DSLR, or a camcorder that has a clean HDMI output to your computer and use the feed of that camera as a webcam. That's what I do right now. I'm actually using my Camlink to make this video. I use it on my stream to capture the feed of my camcorder, and I think that that is honestly one of the most important things to a creator who is doing makeup content, to be able to show in HD the makeup or the work. Secondly, I think that the key lights are the second most important thing. I think that the key lights are super important. Obviously, going hand in hand with the quality of the camera, you need good lighting as well. Nothing will ever beat natural daylight. However, sometimes body paint sessions can go on upwards of 5 to 15 odd hours, and so we can't always have natural daylight. And so the key lights offer a clean, space-saving solution to lighting up your studio area. In fact, I also use my key lights for taking my photos at the end, but I'll get to that later in the video. So I think the key lights are very, very space-saving. They can be adjusted with warmth and cool tones, so you can kind of adjust them for your setup to complement the makeup that you're doing in that particular session. So yeah, you can also get the key lights, but alternatively, if you don't want to get the key lights, there is a Key Light Air, which is a smaller model of the key lights, which I think are also equally as useful for the body paint setup. The last item that I think is not necessarily super necessary, but a nice touch, is the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck obviously allows you to take hands off of OBS for a second. If you guys are anything like me, my desk becomes completely cluttered with makeup products and I often can't even reach my keyboard. So the Stream Deck allows me to do the usual things that I need to do, like put chat mode onto follower mode, or sub mode, or make clips or highlight markers, and just to check things like viewers, etc. So I find that that's really, really useful for me to have a Stream Deck as well. So those three things I think are super, super imperative to a body paint stream setup. The fourth question that I get is, how did I get started with body painting? And to answer this question, I really have to go back and give you guys a little bit of context on my life and how I grew up and how I am. So going all the way back to when I was much younger and in school, I've always been fascinated by makeup and the ability to transform oneself creatively and express yourself through the art of identity and transformation. In fact, I can recall being sent home from school on numerous occasions for wearing too much eyeliner because I used to do giant cat eyes and stuff. So it's always been a really, really intrinsic part of my personal identity. On the other hand, I have considered myself to be a creative for my entire life. As a young girl, I was drawing and painting and creating, and that's really me at my core. I am a creative person who loves to express herself. So as I grew up, I went to numerous art colleges and studied art in all kinds of manner of forms. So I've done traditional canvas paintings and digital paintings and sculpture and, you know, fine art, etc. And that has been kind of my education throughout my life. Now, body paint, I feel like, kind of encompasses these two things that are very, very important to me. So the ability to express oneself through image, and the ability to create art. And that's kind of, I guess, how those two things came into fruition for me. But body painting specifically, I guess I came upon when one year I decided to enter a makeup competition called the NYX Face Awards in the UK. A lot of you guys will be familiar with this. I have videos on my channel of my entries and stuff like that. So I entered this competition and for some bizarre reason ended up being a finalist. Now, I have to be completely honest and say that the people that I competed against in this competition were on a completely different level to me. They were much better. Coming to mind is Miss Kate Monroe, who is probably one of the most impressive body painters and artists I have ever met in my life, and I will put her on the screen somewhere because really she's phenomenal. She was one of my competitors, and that really got me thinking. I was even a little bit embarrassed, actually, that I was not on the same level as these artists, and yet somehow, through some kind of fluke, I had made it as a finalist against these absolute titans in the makeup world. And I guess at that point, I just thought, wow, I need to step up my game. And that was when I started doing face paints on Twitch. I began with a Sylvanas. Okay, Sylvanas is someone I painted quite a lot, but I started with a Sylvanas kind of inspired face paint, and it kind of grew from there. The first body paint that I actually did that was more than just my neck was also Sylvanas, and I've painted her so many times because she's kind of really important in my development as an artist. It kind of, every time I want to track my progress, I paint a Sylvanas and just see how different they are. So yeah, I really, yeah, that's kind of how I started, by painting Sylvanas. But yeah, I really think that body painting and creating and being expressive is something that's really, really ingrained in me and my soul. It's super important to me. So that's kind of how it began. Since then, I've painted numerous different characters, and not even just characters, but also just concepts and ideas that I think are really cool that I've done. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I just realized this video is gonna be real long. I don't know, maybe we should split it into parts, but whatever, I'm gonna keep going. Question number 5 is, why do I not just paint on a canvas? And I guess that really goes hand in hand with my previous question. People often think that body paint is just a quick and easy way to garner viewers. A lot of people will often regard body painting as just a cheap way to be naked on stream whilst, you know, kind of avoiding the terms of service. A lot of people think it's a grey area. The answer is, why don't I just paint on canvas? I do paint on canvas, but as I say, body paint is more than just painting on canvas. Body painting is an art of expression. It's transformation and expression, and creating a timeless piece of art that exists only in the moment. The really magical thing about body paint is that it can never be recreated the same ever again. Once you've painted yourself, I mean, you can certainly try to do the same thing, but it's totally unique, and the canvas is totally unique. It's really special to me that once I've painted something, it's gone from the world. I wash it off in the shower and it is gone from the world. Nobody will ever see its like again, you know? And I think that's something really cool. It's a really neat way to express yourself creatively and expose your kind of soul through art in a way that's unique and different. And yeah, I don't know if that even makes sense, but that's how I feel about it. Body painting has always been really special to me, and makeup and being creative is obviously something that's really deeply ingrained in my heart. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit as to why I don't just paint on canvas. I do, but this is also, you know, something really, really special, I think. So we are on question number 6. And that question is, do I take all of my photos myself, or do I have a photographer? I do take all of my photos myself. In the past, it's been pretty difficult to take photos because I haven't had really large spaces in order to set up studios and such likes. But now I've got my own room, it's a little bit easier, but I do kind of pop up a studio, so to speak, every time I do a body paint. The products or the hardware that I use to take my photos isn't super, you know, well, maybe a little bit medium professional, but I'm not a photographer by any stretch of imagination. I'm sure that there will be somebody who will tell me in the future I should do this, or I should do that, or this would be better, or this would be better. But as far as my setup goes and how I take my photos, I have, to the left and the right of me, I have the 2 Elgato key lights that I mentioned earlier in this video. I have a Canon 200D camera that's actually right here. In fact, I'm gonna show you guys. My camera is, oh my gosh, you can't even see it because it's out of frame. there. I have a Canon 200D camera that I use to take all of my photographs on. It's connected to a ring light, which, oh my gosh, I'm so grossly out of focus now. It's connected to a ring light because I think that that gives like a pretty light on the face and the eyes, and it's just already kind of mounted together, so it just kind of goes hand in hand. And I use a really long wired remote to take all of the photographs. As far as backgrounds are concerned, I tend to use just a reversible black and white background that is foldable and can be folded away. And I have the same tripod for my background that I just erect every time I take photos. So it's not a super crazy setup by any stretch of imagination, simply just my own camera with a remote, and I hope for the best. I've had some funny situations in the past when I'm trying to take my photos and I've needed to have both my hands in the photo. For instance, the NYX Face Awards look that I did that was inspired by Vincent van Gogh's Sunflowers, I'll put it on the screen somewhere. I had to hold a frame, and so to take those photos, I had to put a timer on my camera. I had to press the remote, throw the remote, grab the frame, hold it in position, and then pose for the photo in like 5 seconds or something. And it was it was a tricky one to take all those photos, but that's what I did. And so that's kind of the setup that I have. Again, I'm sure that there are heaps of better ways to do this, but that's kind of how I do it, and I just pop it up every time I need to take a photograph. Yeah. I'll maybe have to include a photograph in the video or some point of what the setup looks like once I fully put it together. But it's a little bit ghetto, but it works for me, does what I needed to do, so I'm happy with it. So, question number 7 is, have I painted anybody else, and is it easier to paint somebody else? I have painted somebody else before. I personally find that it's easier to paint on myself than it is to paint on somebody else, just due to the nature of kind of like angles and comfort and whatnot. I painted my good friend Melissa. A lot of you guys will remember that when I painted her as Sylvanas at a video game launch party in London. I painted her, and honestly, I just find it easier to paint myself. I have a really shaky hand, and so I think it's easy for me to paint myself because it's easier for me to lean on myself. And when I'm painting somebody else, I kind of have to hold my hand up to paint on them, and that kind of makes it shakier. And I don't know, I guess after a while you just become more accustomed to doing what you've done the most, right? And so a lot of people think that because I paint in a mirror and it's reversed that it's going to be really, really difficult, but you honestly it becomes second nature after a while. Painting in a mirror is the same to me as painting on a piece of paper. You just train your eye to draw differently via the mirror, or whatever. I find it's pretty similar to when people are drawing digitally and they draw on a tablet. Sometimes they're looking at the screen while their pencil is on the tablet, and so they have to train their eye to and train their hand to draw in a different place. And eventually people just it becomes second nature, and it's really easy to do. And the mirror is no different. In fact, I think the mirror is even easier than that, because you can actually see it. So yeah, I don't really find it difficult to paint on myself at all. Obviously there are some challenging things. For instance, and I'm sure a lot of body painters will agree with me, painting your dominant hand is one of the trickiest things. Trying to paint your dominant hand's shoulder, or in general, anything that you have to use your non-dominant hand for, tends to be a bit of a struggle. So I find that my right arm always looks really crap compared to my left arm. So whenever I pose for photos, I try to capture the best parts of the left arm and hide the right arm a little bit. You might notice that. So yeah, that's the only kind of vagaries of it, but I do find in general that painting on myself is much easier than painting on other people, though I have painted on others in the past. I've painted on my friends. I've obviously done a full body paint on my friend Mel, and I've done some face painting and a small body painting on my good friends Megan and Flora, whose channels I'll link all of the channels. I'll show all of the artists on the screen who I'm talking about because they're all amazing. So yeah, I've painted on them as well at TwitchCon with Elgato, which was pretty fun. So yeah. Okay, question number 8. I'm scared that in a minute I'm going to put my hands up for the wrong number for which question we're on. But anyway, question number 8 is, how long does it take to get it off? And honestly, the real answer is a lot less time than it took to put it on. Realistically, it comes off in the shower. The paints that I use are water activated, so they dilute with water. So they start as a solid formula, they dilute with water. The more water that you add, the more they're going to dilute. So realistically, the second that you stand in the shower, it's just going to run straight off of your body. Sometimes they do stain a little bit, but honestly, a rigorous shower with a sponge and some soap is going to get it right off. Unless you're using kind of cream paints or alcohol paints, then it's going to be a little bit different, because for instance, alcohol paints, you have to actually use alcohol to remove. Same concept, it dilutes with alcohol. But yeah, the paints that I use, water activated, come straight off in the shower. So just a standard rigorous shower with a sponge and some soap, and easy to get off, really. And this kind of goes hand in hand now with question number 9, which is, do I feel sad to take off the paint when I'm done? The answer to that is no, I don't feel sad to take it off at all. I get this question quite often, and I understand why people would ask me, do I feel sad to take it off? But really, I don't. I'm always so glad to get it off. When you've been painting yourself for 15 hours sometimes, it's so tiring. You get so fatigued and you're so sick of it. You're just like, I'm over it. I am over this paint. You know, you're so ready to take it off. So as soon as I take the photos, I just go straight to the shower and wash it off, and I feel like a new person. It's always really good to get it off after you've been painting for a long time. The only thing I would feel bad about is if I didn't get the photo. You know, I take hundreds and hundreds of photos just to make sure that I get one that's usable. I think as long as you get the photo that you love so that you can keep and hold it forever, then it's totally fine. I'm really happy to take it off, to be honest. So I would like to end this video with a little PSA about body painting. Obviously, Twitch is a pretty broad platform that houses lots of different types of content, and I don't think that everybody is going to love every single content type on Twitch. I mean, I certainly don't love every single content type on Twitch, but I think that the world would be a better place if we all stopped projecting hate towards those types of content. I know body painting has been a category on Twitch that has been under heavy scrutiny from a lot of very big names. And I would really like to change the image of body painting on Twitch. Body painting is an art form and it is creative expression, and it makes me super sad to see it get such a bad rap sometimes. So all I would like to ask is that if you don't like something or somebody's content on Twitch, just don't watch it. Nobody is ever gonna force you to watch something that you don't like. You don't have to contribute to its success. But we also don't need to belittle and berate and bully the people who do focus on these kind of contents. You know, I think that we all need to be better and hold ourselves to higher standards and live and let live, as my mom always told me when we were growing up, or when I was growing up rather, when we were growing up. Yeah, I think that we together need to be a bit more positive and kinder towards others. And it's okay to ask questions. I know that body painting for a lot of people is quite a unique thing and quite strange. It's okay to ask questions. That's why I wanted to make this video, because I would like people it to be a bit more normalized, and for people to not be afraid to ask questions and learn. I think that we could all learn a little bit more and behave a little bit better, and the platform would be a more hospitable place to be, where everybody can flourish and grow and share their passions and loves for whatever it is, as weird as it may be. Anyway, a big thank you if you made it this far in the video. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but I appreciate if you guys watched it this far. If you did, then leave me a little yellow heart in the comments, or let me know that you made it all the way to the end. Massive thank you if you did, and let me know as well what kind of videos that I should be making in the future, if this video was a good idea, if in your opinions, and if there's something else that you guys would like to see me create. I've certainly been thinking about doing videos such as a makeup tour, or my favorite makeup products, or my wig collection, or maybe even like a setup video of how I stream or how I take my photographs, etc. So let me know if any of those sound interesting to you, and yeah, I will see you guys hopefully in the next video or live on Twitch. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye guys.